Michael ASMR, yeah. That's, I don't know. If I reach how many subscribers? If I reach 75 subscribers by the end of this stream, you get Michael ASMR. Is that targeting a bit low? Well, I actually have to do that.
Well, it's not like I actually need to make that video. Hello everyone, due to popular demand, welcome to MW ASMR Not Guitars. Today I'm here with my lovely 2007 Ibanez S470, and we're going to be doing a little bit of basic maintenance. Just a restring, a little bit of a clean on the body and the fretboard, because it's been kind of in constant use. Well, it was always in constant use, and it's been a couple of months since I last did this. So I don't have any of the expensive shit. We're just going to use a soft cloth, a couple of microfiber cloths, one for our polish, one for our lemon oil for the body and the fretboard respectively, a new set of strings. I used a Dario NYXL 10 to 46, but depending on tuning and preference you might go for something different. And an Allen key multi-tool, which is complete overkill because I need one Allen key for my locking nut and my Floyd Rose tremolo system. So the first thing I'm going to do is just take off the whammy bar, just get it out of the way. And I'm going to put that on my desk for safekeeping. And as you can see, I've already blocked off the bridge just to make sure that I don't have to adjust the spring tension massively when I restring this and, you know, hopefully make it a bit of a smoother process. So now I'm just going to put a little bit of protective film underneath my strings so that I can use my clippers without scratching the body of my guitar. I would just do it from the top and use the tip of the clippers, however they are extremely blunt and that does not work. Next I'm going to take my Allen keys and I'm just going to loosen off the locking nut. So any guitar with a Floyd Rose or other tremolo system is going to have one of these, and it's really important that when you're putting them on you don't do them very much more than hand tight. You can see that was less than a quarter turn just to get them off. If you over tighten them you can quite easily strip bolts and cause the next owner or yourself a large amount of hassle, like the previous owner did to me. So the locking nut you see on this guitar I actually replaced a couple years ago. Now, everything I'm going to show in this video is kind of the basics for restringing and cleaning a guitar. I've not got any expensive products, we're not going to be using anything super harsh to actually get out the countless surface scratches on this guitar, we're just going to be cleaning it up. Brands like Dunlop will try to sell you about 12 different items to clean your guitar. I don't find them overly necessary. So now I'm just going to release the bridge pins. Again, using an Allen key because I have the Ibanez zero tension system there, or zero resistance even. And if, like me, you have no workbench and you're doing this on your bed, please put a towel down because there is nothing worse than finding string shavings in your bed as you try to go to sleep at night. Your skin will tell you. So once everything's been released, I'm just going to pull the strings up and thread them out of the machine heads, which are conveniently out of the shot, which I didn't notice at the time, and just lay them out to make sure they're all accounted for, and once again make sure that I do not have metal jabbing me as I try to sleep tonight. Yeah. So as you may be able to see from the footage here, this guitar is not in perfect condition, and it's not going to be. There are quite a lot of surface scratches, even though structurally it's pretty good, and most of those were kindly donated to me by the previous owner. This is a 2007 model which I bought in 2014, which was plenty of time for him to apparently rub it on walls instead of playing it. But he did swap the pickups, so I'll forgive him. So now I'm going to use a bowl of warm water. Not too hot, just lukewarm. And I'm just going to dip my soft towel there in it. And we're just going to use this to give the body and the hardware an initial rub down. Just get all the surface dust and everything off of it before we move on to the polish. And especially between the pickups, because that's one of the hardest areas to actually reach while you have strings on your guitar. Then I'm just going to use the edge of the towel to get into some of the thinner areas, like between the fretboard and the neck pickup there. And just give a quick wipe down over the pickups and over the bridge there, because the cloth is only damp, it's not soaking wet. So going over them and then immediately drying them isn't going to cause any damage. Okay, and then I'm just going to go over the whole instrument with the dry side of the towel and just get any excess water off. So I'm just going to dampen that cloth again, and this time we're just going to clean the headstock. So you can see I'm making sure to get around the machine heads nicely like that, and I'm just going to again use the edge of the towel to get to those harder to access spots, especially up next to the nut. And then just dry all that off with the dry side of the towel. So we're then going to flip the instrument over into its back and make sure we get that side as well. Just the exact same process, damp cloth over the whole thing, and then dry it off. And this time we're going to make sure to get the neck as well. So the next thing I'm going to do is just wipe down the fretboard. So we're just using this same cloth again, just a different corner of it. And I'm just going to go parallel to the frets, putting pressure on with my fingers. And just trying to work out any skin oils or sweat that may have accumulated over the past couple of months of playing. And even if your fretboard looks clean, I can guarantee you it isn't. I try to make it a habit to clean my guitar every single time I restring it, because you'll always be surprised by how much actually comes off. So once again, if you're following along at home, now would be a good time to realise that when you turned the guitar upside down, all the pins came out of your Floyd Rose bridge. So collect them up. Make sure to fit in time for a small panic, not a major one, just a little panic when you realise that you've only picked up 5. Find the 6th one over at the other side of your workspace. Then put them away for safekeeping, vowing to take them out before you start cleaning next time. Now, the crucial part here is that you forget to do this, and make sure it happens every single time. That's only if you want to do my routine though. So now we're going to use our first product of the only 2 that I own. So this is just going to be a mild polish. It's mostly methyl alcohol. It's just to remove the skin oils and whatnot from the surface of the guitar. So this isn't going to erode your finish. It's not going to remove scratches or anything. It just helps to keep the surface nice and clean. Pick up the stuff water can. So I'm going to use the microfiber cloth that came with it. and I'm going to use the logo side for my dry side and the non-logo side for my wet side. So just having that helps to keep that in order. So I'm just going to put a couple of sprays of polish on the cloth there, and then just start working that into the surface of the guitar. So I'm going to try and do the exact same as I did with the soft cloth with water, and just make sure that I get all the important spots, making sure to get around the knobs and all the hardware and into the wee input jack crevice and all the places that are kind of hard to get to when their strings are on, like around the pickups especially. If you guys are enjoying the background music in this video, you can check it out at the link in the description. It's called HyperX Abode, and I wrote it myself and uploaded it 2 weeks ago, I think. So now I'm just going to flip over to the dry side of the cloth and buff all that polish out. So then, as expected, I'm just going to flip the guitar over, and I'm going to do the exact same thing to the other side. So polish on with one side, rub it in, and then off with the dry side. Now, I did consider trying to record some of the sounds of the cleaning process, but my mic arm is really small, and trying to do this all at my desk would be nearly impossible, and camera audio is not exactly going to be ASMR quality. So if someone wants to buy me a KU100, I will happily record some better ASMR sounds, but otherwise you just get voiceover and music. Then, as before, I'm just going to do the same to the back of the neck, just a little bit of polish on that gloss finish. And even if you're really careful about washing your hands and everything before you play your guitar like I am, there's always going to be a little bit, and it does build up over time. Especially if you're playing during the hot summer months or in a gigging environment. So once I've finished with the polishing process, I'm going to get a clean cloth, and this time I'm going to use the lemon oil for the fretboard. So it doesn't have to be lemon oil if you're allergic to citrus or don't like the smell or anything. Basically any mineral oil will do. Some people like to use tongue oil or just unscented normal mineral oil. The choice is yours. So I'm just going to give that a little bit of a shake, and then use the built-in applicator on the tip, which my camera will not focus on, and just put a wee dot on each fret. And then before that dries in, I'm just going to get the cloth and try and work that evenly into each fret. I'm then going to turn over to the dry side of the cloth and just try and wipe off some of the excess there. There's no reason to leave this stuff on for very long. The wood actually only needs a tiny little bit to be properly moisturized. We're not trying to saturate and soften it, we're just trying to clean it up, make sure it doesn't dry out, and help it look a bit nicer. I always find it brings out the grain of the wood really well, especially if you've got a lovely rosewood fingerboard like this one. So once we're finished with the fretboard, that's the cleaning phase of this done. So I'm just going to start putting on the new strings. So these have color-coded tips on them. The camera doesn't have autofocus, if you couldn't tell by now, so you may not be able to see those too well. So we're then going to forget the color code, even though this is the same one that is used every single time. So before we put the strings in, we're just going to put those pins back in that we took out in good time earlier and didn't drop. Having checked the color code that we should know off by heart but don't, we're going to select the brass colored string first and snip off the end. So we're just going to insert that in the saddle, tighten it up with an Allen key, give it a little tug just to make sure it's not going to come straight out, and then repeat the process. And once we've got all of those in, we're just going to take each string in turn and thread it through the nut and under the little metal bar and into our tuning machine. So I've already lined all of these up so that the holes in the tuning machines are facing straight down the way, just to make it easier to get the strings in. And then I'm going to use a little technique called the luthier's knot, which is just passing the string underneath, then up and over, and creating a wee kink in it. So this just kind of helps to seal it on up the top there and make sure it's not going to come out, or so I'm told. I really doubt it makes a difference, but it's a habit now. So we now have all of our strings on. I haven't clipped the ends yet, just in case they come out during the tuning process and I need a little bit of extra length. This has happened before, unfortunately. And now is a good time, if you haven't checked already, to make sure that your fine tuners on your Floyd Bros are all in a neutral position. So you want to have these kind of in the middle of their adjustment range. Otherwise you might run out of travel and then have to go through a whole new tuning cycle. So doing it now is a pretty good choice. I'm just going to put the whammy bar back on, making sure it's got enough clearance to get over the hardware there. Now, your whammy bar might stay in place, mine is broken, it doesn't. Don't worry about it. So from here, I'm just going to go and tune up the guitar. That's not very interesting to film, so we're just going to skip it. So the guitar's all nice and tuned up. I've clipped the excess off the strings at the top. So that's looking nice now, and it's in less danger of poking someone's eye out. And there you have it. Our finished, cleaned up guitar. Nice and shiny. Perfectly clean, with sparkly new strings on it. And that headstock is looking lovely. So the last thing to do, once we've tuned up and stretched the strings, we're just going to put the pressure pads on the locking nut back on the guitar. With that, we are going to wrap up for today. Thank you ever so much for joining me. This was my first time creating this type of content, and I quite enjoyed it. So if you want to see more stuff like this, please do leave a like and subscribe to the channel and let me know in the comments, and I'll consider making more videos like this for you in future. So that's all for me. Take care. Bye bye.